Your business is growing. Amazing. More clients, but you have more messages now. More people in your team asking you things every single day, your clients, your teams. And somehow, the more it grows, the more you feel like you're losing control. The more you feel like you don't feel like winning. You thought growth felt winning. I thought the same thing. We've worked with hundreds of businesses, close to 500, my team and I. We helped all the way from SMBs to $2 billion firms setting up their AI and systems infrastructure. And the thing is this here, every single one of them that hit the wall for the same reason. The business grew, which is amazing. They worked really hard for this. But the system that was holding it together did not. In this video, I'm going to show you the exact 3-layer setup. That's the only thing that you need to focus on if you are stuck at $10,000 to $20,000 range and you want to go to $50,000 to $100,000 per month. And this is not some random bullshit. Yeah, we've tested and proved this across all the clients that we work with, from all the businesses, agencies, service business. We tested these things with all, and this applies to every single one of them. All right, so let's go. And now let's talk about how to make sure you avoid these things, right? So I hope you can see my screen right now, right? So there's only 3 layers. Businesses only need to focus on these 3 layers to hit their next revenue target of $50,000 to $100,000 per month. And every business I audited and seen, these are the 3 missing things that they are missing that's preventing them from scaling. Don't let anyone overcomplicate things for you, right? It's systems, automations, and tracking. That's it. If you can do these 3 things correctly, right, you can finally step away from the business and make sure you focus on growing the business rather than being in the business all the time. All right. Now let's talk about systemization, right? Because the reason I put them in different 3 steps and I put them in this order was on purpose, because you can't track, you can't do this thing if you don't do this right. You can't automate if you don't have this thing right. You can't track if you don't have systems in place. So it goes in order. So let's talk about systems, right? There is 3 segments to systemizing, automating, and tracking. That is sales and marketing is the first item that needs to be handled and automated and systemized. Why is that? Because it's the most important aspect for any business. All right. Then in there it includes things like lead generation. You have leads coming in from different channels. You have different engagements of sales, calls, all these items that are in sales and marketing, right? Having systems and automations and tracking all these things is quite important. I'll get to each of these things further in the video. Yeah, so make sure you watch till the end of the video, because not only am I just going to verbally show you, because no one gives a shit about verbal stuff, right? I'm going to show you exactly what tools I use for my clients. I'm going to show you exactly what we do. Yeah, so you can take that as an inspiration and build something of your own. And you can also see what we did instead of just hearing about these things. Yeah, so fulfillment, there are things like onboarding, on-time delivery, delegation, all these things that happens in fulfillment to make sure your fulfillment is done correctly. And lastly, and the most important part of them all, I can't emphasize this enough, is reporting. Tracking your metrics is the only way you can grow. If you don't know what your metrics are, there is no way you can grow, because you don't know how to optimize what's not working, and how to go all in on things that are working. So let's go one at a time, right? Sales and marketing. In the first layer, the first thing that I would recommend anyone to have is make sure they have the right systems in place for sales. I hope to God that if you're watching this video, you have some CRM in place, right? And I hope it's not a Google Sheet. Because yeah, the first thing that needs to be done, I wanted to talk about automations first on sales and marketing. But if I have to talk to you about sales and marketing automations, right? If you don't have the right systems in place, there is no automation that can be done. Majority of the clients that I deal with either have no CRM system in place, or have a very broken CRM in a Google Sheet, or they have something, but it's not fully custom. It's not, if I tell them on a scale of 1 to 10, how much do they leverage their CRM? How much of the features are they using? How effective do you think you're using a CRM? They all say 3 or 4. If that is you, let me show you what needs to be done. Yeah, I'm going to be creating a detailed video on every single best practice, every single thing that you need to do to create a good CRM system. That video can be linked to the top. It's not launched yet. If you're watching this video on 12th of April, it's not launched yet, but in a week or so, in 2 weeks time, we plan to have that launched. Yeah, so subscribe to the YouTube channel if you're early. If not, you'll see it at the top. But anyways, the first thing that you need to do is make sure you define your sales process, and your CRM system segregates every single deal that comes in different. Why is this important? So you can track at which stage each person is in, and you can treat them accordingly. You can set up the relevant automations and all that stuff. Yeah, so one thing I saw is everyone is grouped together. For example, for me, my sales process is lead comes in, we book an appointment, Sometimes there are possibilities where they don't show up to the call, which is highly unlikely. And then sometimes people request for proposals. Then I send the proposal over. Then sometimes we negotiate in between. Sometimes they say, hey, Fahad, follow up with me 2 days later, 3 days later. And then I onboard an invoice. That's it. That's my sales process. I define them correctly and I segregated them accordingly and put them in here. And then I have relevant fields in place to store all their details so you can track things accordingly. All right. So that's the first thing. This is in case you don't have a CRM. If we have a CRM, just skip this part, just skip this, all these things, have the right fields in place to track and record all the details. Yeah. All right. With that being said, one of the first automations that you need to do is making sure your lead is being added to this CRM and the lead is being sent the right materials in the beginning itself. So let me show you something. Yeah. So this is a process map. So whenever we work with any clients that we work with, right? At our company, we create a visual roadmap, like an architect creating a design. And this is something I recommend you guys do. Yeah, I'll talk about this at the end on how to visualize and present your process in this way. But for now, what you guys need to do is I usually create these process maps. And with every single, this process map usually includes beginning to the end, the entire process on how the automation is supposed to work. Everything that you see green in here is automated stuff, right? So I usually show them, but every single thing without fail, the first thing that we automate is always lead intake, because that's the most crucial part, right? If you do that part right, everything else it's quite easy. And the thing is, every single businesses get leads from different sources. LinkedIn, Google Ads, this place, that place. Oftentimes, either wait to fetch certain information, or they manually supposed to add them. And you need to have, first thing is, wherever you're getting the leads from, automatically add them to the right stages. Yeah. And as soon as you add them to the right stage and add them to the CRM, make sure you add the relevant fields. For example, in this case, this person gets leads from Google Ads, Facebook ads, organic search, calls, and info emails, right? So for these things, it automatically happens. We automatically add them in the CRM as a contact. Then we add the right tag and we add the right source fields. It's very important we do that. Why is this important? Because you need to know, this is something I see a lot of people do. It's called lead attribution, right? I see a lot of people don't do. It's very, very, very important that you track where your leads are coming in from so that you know what's working, how it's working, all that stuff. Yeah, I'll get to all these things towards the end on tracking. So tracking the right fields and putting it in the right stage. And the most important part is, wherever you are, right? I told you the importance of contacting them with the story and analogy I shared. It's very important you contact them immediately and you send the right acknowledgement. Because even if you don't contact them, right, it's very important at least you acknowledge by when you're gonna get back to them, so they can be like, hey, these guys are gonna get back to me. Let's not spend more time looking for others. It happens so often where they're gonna submit to 10 different people, 10 different providers, and they assume, okay, half of them are gonna reach out back to me very quickly. You don't want that to happen. If you tell them, hey, guess what? Thanks for reaching out to us. I'm going to get back to you in the next 24 hours or in the next 5 hours. They're like, oh, awesome. So what we have is we firstly notify the salesperson whether you're using Slack, email, wherever they are, you put them in there, you put them at the top of their head, and then you create a task. Very important, you create a task. Why is that? Because oftentimes, if it's in the CRM, right, you see a lot of people in different stages. Like, this is my CRM. You see a lot of people in different stages. You see all of them have been processed in here. It's quite hard to keep track. But if you're creating a task, the only thing the salesperson has to do is he just have to come in here. The only thing he has to do is just have to come into he just have to come into the CRM, see all the tasks he's assigned today, and just call them. That's it. It just makes his life so much easier, and very important, you acknowledge them. And let me give you a very important tip. When you're acknowledging them, like, you can use a format of like, hey, thanks for giving us the business, or thanks for contacting us. This is what we do. Our team will contact you shortly. And something that's really helpful is, if you need something from them to speed up the whole process, ask them right away. This is gonna help you so much, save you so much time. Because we had a client, right? They are in the export-import business, and what we ended up doing was they wanted the product information for which they contacted. So people contact them for a particular product, right? So instead of them submitting inquiry, the salesperson calling them like, hey, which product did you interested? Instead of the salesperson calling them and asking them, hey, which product were you looking for? Then they will say, hey, I'm looking for this product. Then the salesperson like, sorry, we don't have that product with us. This whole thing can be avoided if they would just say what product they wanted. So we have automations in place to ask them what it is that they're interested in. Not only do they engage, which is good. When they do more engagement, the CRM sees you as a good lead, as a good person with good inbox, and push your email to everyone else when you send them. But also you can save all those times, right? So acknowledge these things is very important. Having these lead automations, once you have that, right, this is one lead automation would look like this. For example, this is something that we built for a client who has 2 million followers, so he gets a lot of contactors. Someone just submitted right now, so someone submitted, oops, I can't show you the stuff. Someone submitted the details. We have the automation adding them in the CRM, we add them as a contact, then we add the right source tags, then we add them to the right deals, and then we notify the respective person. Yeah, so you have all these automations planes. They have further automations as well. So that's what that looks like. All right, so that's one of the first few things that you need to automate: acknowledging and tracking and putting them in the system. And once that is done, the next objective is customer engagement. All the engagement and follow-ups that happen after the lead comes in. I'll give you an example. Let me give you an example. Such as for me, it's people book an appointment. The engagement is confirming what the appointment is going to be about, the time, and all the reminders. So what you need to do is, automate those things as well. Because if you can automate those things right, you can significantly increase the show up rate in your business. If one thing I do with all the clients is if they do online appointments, the first confirmation email is not a generic one. I always make sure they have the right agenda. Because if you can, the reason why people don't show up to the call is not because they are busy, but it's because they confirmed their bias that the call is not worth it. You're not worth their time. But if you tell them that you are worth their time, they are going to show up to the call. Imagine this: if you are having cancer and the doctor's cancer appointment is at 4 p.m., are you going to miss it? No, you're going to die. So, you need to show them what you're going to be discussing, right? In the appointment confirmation email, it's very important you set the agenda on the call right away. Like, hey, this is exactly what we'll be discussing. We'll be going over your pain points. We'll be going over what's stopping you from preventing and hitting $50,000 to $100,000. Maybe it's because of this. And if you give them the reason, they'll be, hey, that's me. That reason that you just listed is me. They are going to show up to the call. So having those confirmations and all the reminders, right? Reminding them before the call, and in those reminders, add testimonials, add credibility. So they are more and more likely to show up to the call. And in the off chance, maybe they are in an accident or something happens in life, right? Oftentimes the client ping back to me like, hey, I'm not able to make it to the meeting. Let's do it 2 days later, 3 days later. Sometimes they're not able to respond. So what do? Instead of me manually following up, right, which is highly, highly inefficient, what I do is, let me just show you the backend automations on how these things work, right? I just put them in no-show. When I put them in no-show, I have a 30-day series of automations that follows up with them for the next 30 days. And I remember this guy recognized me. Right? It's so funny. Yeah, this guy that you see right here, he recognized me on the street and he's like, Fahad, I saw your content. I tried to book a call. I couldn't show up. You've been following up with me ever since. I was like, I have no clue who he is, because it was my automations doing those things, right? It was so funny. So having these automations has significantly booked a lot of missed appointments for me, right? Very important having those follow-ups in place. And for me, if sometimes they request for a proposal, right? I automate the follow-ups for those as well, where when they request for a proposal, remember when I said about acknowledgement, it's very important. It really adds up when you're trying to scale up. So if someone books an appointment and we're trying to send them a proposal, we just move them in proposal requested. It automatically sends them an email saying that, hey, thanks for requesting for proposal. You can expect a proposal in this time frame. That's it. That's all you have to do. Setting, acknowledging things can play a lot and can set apart. Acknowledging can set you apart from a lot of these mediocre businesses that exist out there. And then when I'm done creating the proposal, right, all I do is just go to the contact, I upload the proposal in here, then I move them to the proposal send, and then I don't do anything. My automation sends the proposal. It tells exactly what the next steps they should be taking, and then it keeps following up with them for the next 40 days. It follows up with them 6 to 7 times in email, SMS, until I haven't have SMS connected yet, but all my clients, we have SMS, email, even WhatsApp, following up with them like, hey, can you please respond and get back to us? What's your thoughts? We give them a value addition first. We don't just say, hey, any thoughts? Like, hey, this is something we recently learned about your industry. Let me know your thoughts on the proposal. So it can save you so much time. And I see a lot of businesses, right? A lot of businesses can increase their money, can increase the sales they have without spending more, just by converting the existing deal that they already have, just by having enough follow-ups, especially during the proposal stage. And sometimes they're in negotiation. You can't have much automation in negotiation. But in follow-up to close, right, oftentimes client will be like, hey, contact me 2 days later, 3 days later. Never, ever just let that go without putting it in the system. I have an automation in place where I just put them in here, and it's going to remind me on that day. And this is how you make sure that you follow up with them on that particular area. It's going to keep following up with me until I take action to this particular contact. So very important, it can create a task for you to contact them on that date, because I see so many times where they're like, hey, contact me next week, and you forgot about them. You forget about them because you get overwhelmed. So having these automations in place is very important. And then I have onboarding automations, which I'll get to later when I talk about the fulfillment side of things. By your onboarding automation, if I move them in here, it's going to automatically send the contract to sign. By the way, it's going to send the contract. All I need to do is just go in here. For example, I type in this field, the installments, how many installments, what the start date is. If I type in 3 installments, 4 installments, it's going to send the contract for those details. I just have to fill the details in here, and that's it. Send the contract, and the automation automatically sends the contract, and once it's signed, it starts onboarding them. I'll talk about that later as well. Yeah, so that's the CRM side of things, right? So CRM, once this is done, we'll talk about reporting in the CRM. We'll get to that later. So let's talk about fulfillment. Once you do your CRM things correctly, the next most important part is fulfillment. And let me tell you something, yeah, this is important for you to make sales, but this is important for you to retain the existing sales that you have. The only reason why you would be having churn is the client is unhappy. Why is the client unhappy? Either because you didn't get the results for the client. If that's you need to work on your business. I hope the people that are watching this is really good at what they do. If you're really good at what you do and you still feel like, why am I having churn? Why are the client using it? I thought I was the GOAT. I thought I was the best. It's because either you hate delivery, or you have a very terrible user experience throughout the whole process that just breaks them slowly until to a point where they completely break and they move off. Or you most of the time, 90% of the time, it's you as the bottleneck that's slowing things down, because everyone's coming to you. You feel like everything has to go through you. You have to tell your team exactly what to do. I know what you feel like, and you have to tell them exactly what to do. You feel like it's so overwhelming because everything goes through you. That's not a way to grow a business. You're a glorified freelancer at that point. How do we step away from that? It's by making sure in fulfillment we have onboarding, on-time delivery, delegation. You do all these things right. Now let me show you something. Yeah. So the first thing that you need to do fulfillment correctly is by having the right systems in place, is by having the right fulfillment system in place. Now, what is a fulfillment system? It's a project management system. As the name suggests, project management system allows you to manage projects effectively. So it could be ClickUp, it could be Notion, Monday, Asana, Jira, it could be anything. But it's very important and critical that you don't manage things on WhatsApp or Slack. You need to have systems in place to manage these things correctly. Because guess what? The reason why projects and delegations is hard is because oftentimes they're asking you more details. Hey, how do we do this? How do we do this? You forgot about one task because some of the task is overwhelmed. You need to have a systematic way of doing these things, right? You need to have a system like this. I'll walk you through mine. I have this system that shows me all the clients that I work with, right? If I go to a particular client, I can see all the items I need is in here. All the projects that we're doing is in here. And if I click on that, I can see all the tasks that we're doing. Everything is systematically organized. So it's much easy. So clients, projects, tasks, everything is divided correctly. And then I have sections where this section allows me to, where is the asset section? My favorite section is asset section. Yeah, I can see all the assets in here. I can see all the documents that we have in here. The KPIs are in here. All the calendar links I have in here. This is where I store all the stuff, right? I store my links, my case studies, my affiliate links, my contracts. It's very hard for you to go all this back and forth between the clients and team to get certain things. Keep everything in here. It is organized. So the moment you onboard a client, it's very important you create a project in here. And once you add the project, right, what are the things that your team or a client keeps nagging you on? And for me, let me show you one examples for what I have, right? For me, my team often nags me for, Fahad, what exactly it is that we're supposed to be doing? And secondly, Fahad, what's the onboarding materials and passwords that we have for this client? As soon as I onboard the client, right, I tell me or my operations manager who onboards these clients, add the password immediately into here. Add the passwords immediately. As soon as we get the password, add them in here. So my team never pings me like, Fahad, where's the password? It's in here, all right? So everything is in here. Everything that they need, the due date, the start date, when they're supposed to complete, who is it assigned to, what details they have is in here. Any relevant documentation is attached in here. And then we assign the tasks with all the key details, right? I explain everything. I add my comments in here. Sometimes I attach the roadmap, the visual roadmap in here so they can understand what needs to be done. And they mark them when they are doing it, it's in progress. When they are completing it, they are putting when they are about to complete QA and testing, and then it's done. So having the right systems is important. Now I'm going to be talking about the most important part, which is automations and systemizing. Now once you have the systems ready, right? Once you have the systems ready, by the way, TP, what I want you to do is, remember when you start talking about systems, you can put at the top, like if you already have a good system, skip to this timestamp, like this timestamp, right? You can start from here. Start. Okay, so if you already have good systems, right? Now let's talk about if you already have a good system, or once you implemented these systems in place where you have different clients, different projects, all segregated correctly, and you have all the fields that are needed for the team to move ahead without you telling them all this information. The next and the most important, this is the most important part of the whole video, right? It's SOPs. SOPs is a thing of beauty that God has created. So SOPs, what is SOP? Systematic operating procedure. You know, every single thing that you do, right? Every single thing that you do can be taught us. How do you teach to someone? It's by explaining them how you do the process. Like if I have to teach someone how I create videos, I'll be like, hey Fahad, first set up the light, then you set up the camera, then you set up other lights, then you put the chair in, then you set all these steps, right? If you can define these steps very clearly in an easy manner and put them in a document and group them separately for every single activity that you do in your business, the moment you start doing that is the moment you start stepping away from the business and focus on growing the business. Every single person who's stuck in the $10,000 to $30,000 range, right? All are heavily involved in the operations of the company. And the person who is hitting $50,000 to $100,000 per month is the person who is leveraging their time, right? And the way they leverage their time, right, is by making sure the team is doing things correctly. And the way they make sure the team is doing the things correctly is by having proper, well-defined SOPs for every single step. I'll give you some examples. I have SOPs for everything. So one of my sales guys have an SOP on setting up appointments. All the instructions that I do for doing this thing is defined in here. Go to Sales Navigator. Go to this link. Use the filters provided by Fahad, or I'll be uploading one below. Use that. Then go through every single profile and check if they match these criteria that we have. I have this criteria. If they match the criteria, send them this message. So we have all the follow-up messages when he's supposed to follow up next. And I even have a video in here, like, things he should be doing, things he should not do. And in the video, I explain everything more in detail as well. So a solid SOP for this, right? Another solid SOP is for my team to do certain things. And the best SOP that we have internally is the SOP for fulfillment for my team, right? So let me show you, it's this one. So every single activity, automation, CRM, project management, phone agents, AI solutions, we have proper SOPs, right? So if you check here, you see this one, every single thing, the moment they onboard it, all the way till we complete the project, right? All the way till we complete the project, complete project and hand over, every single thing that I do that's in my mind, I put them in here. I spend days creating this, simplifying this. And then once I create this, I go through the process to see if it's done correctly. And then I go by putting them in this place. And then once I'm done, the only thing I have to do is I don't have to explain to my team. I don't have to sit with every single new guy who comes in. All I have to do is just send them this SOP, follow this SOP. That's it. This is how you start delegating, and this is how you finally step away from your business. Yeah. So, and SOPs are amazing, right? But do you know what's even more amazing than SOPs is by having checklist on the SOPs. So how do you make sure that the standards in your business are done correctly every single time? SOPs are good. It explains what needs to be done. But how do you make sure they do every single step in this SOP every single time? Because they're not going to do it. They're not going to go through the SOP every day. They already know the SOP. I remember it in my mind, they are going to miss certain points. So that's why I have this checklist for every single client who comes to the door. I have this checklist. They check the checklist for every single project. So this way, I ensure the quality and standards are met. If you watch any corporate, right? If McDonald's or janitors, the manager are always carrying a piece of paper and they're checking checklist, because that's how you make sure standards are being kept. This is how you start scaling up to their level, by having SOPs and standard checks, by having these checklists in place, all right? So now that you guys understand the SOP importance, I'll show you what I have, right? So let me just show you what I have in my project management. For example, let's take this client, for example. We have all the relevant details that we have in here. The passwords are in here. The project, if I go to this project, you can see all these things in here. I can see all the documents, all the items, all the tasks that people have done. And if we check this SOP yet, you see, my team has checked all these SOPs. I can see like, hey, they completed this. They haven't documented this because it's not relevant to this. I can see what they've done. I can see all the items they done, they haven't done. Anything they cancel is not is irrelevant. So my team is doing their things correctly. So now I can keep the quality in check. So this is one example, all right? So it's beautiful. Now, once you have the right systems and once you have the right SOP, now let's talk about automating these things, right? So one of the few automations we have is things like onboarding automations, right? So I have an onboarding automation in place where the moment the contract is sent from my CRM system that I showed you earlier, we automatically onboard them. We send all the materials and everything that they need within the first 3 seconds of them joining us. How do we do that? Is by having some automations like this that you can see. So in here, in this automation, the first thing that we do is we create the Slack channel to them. We send the invite, and we create the Slack channel. Invite is sent, and then we add them to our accounting software so we can track who came in, and then we have an automation to automatically add them to the project management system, and and notify the respective team members as soon as they're onboarded, so they are aware on who they are supposed to be onboarding soon. And it also sends them the welcome email, the welcome link, all the relevant details that they need to do, then that they need to get onboarded, and also create the relevant drive folders for them to store all the assets. So all the things that you may doing, right? Every single thing you can document it. You can automate those things. It's all tools. So I have the automation that's automatically fired up. That's for onboarding, right? Now, how do we make sure we have automations for fulfillment process? Now, one of the few automations that we have is things like task monitoring, where it shows me all the past tasks my team has. So every Monday, I get a notification that shows me all the past due tasks that my team hasn't done from last week or the weeks after, all the tasks that are due this week for them. And those are the two things I receive, right? So past due, I can see, okay, these team members have these tasks, this task from this project, from this client, and if I click on here, I can go to the task. So it shows me the list, so I can keep them accountable. And on top of that, they and I get a message like this every day, every week, saying that, hey, this week you have these tasks coming in. This way, no tasks slip out of their mind. Every single person is accountable for and accounted for, because they can keep getting notified of the tasks that they have to do. So beautiful automations. There are so many more things that we can do, but I'll talk about all those detailed things later on. But now you guys understand the importance of systems. Now let's talk about, now that we talked about what this layer, systemize and automate. Now the most important thing of them all that's preventing you from growing to $50,000 to $100,000 per month is tracking your numbers, right? Tracking is important. I can't emphasize enough on how much tracking is needed, right? Every single client, we had discussions with teams of Ali Abdal, we had discussions with billion-dollar firms with whom we've worked with. They all value reporting very, very much, because they understand that the only way they can grow is by, how do you grow? You grow by doing the right things and not doing the wrong things. How do you know you're doing the right things? If you track your numbers correctly, the numbers show that you're doing this right. If the numbers show you're not doing this right, you skip that part. So if you don't track them, how do you know them? So let's talk about sales. For sales, right? Because I have a solid systems in place, I have a solid CRM in place, all my tracking, all my data is already in my CRM system, and I have a beautiful dashboard that I built that shows me exactly at which stage each leads are in. Let's talk about, at which stage each leads are in. I can see at which stage what the value is for each stage, at which stage everyone is in. I can see what my average conversion is, 40%. Okay, let's see, 40% of my calls are converting. What's the industry trend? 20%. That means I'm doing something right. Contacts by source, I can see that, hey, I can see 43 leads came in through referrals. Okay, that means my referral game is working really well. 21 was through direct, 16 is others, and 11 is through organic. Okay, that means I need to amp up my organic a bit. Referral is working really well. And then I have specific as well, because I'm storing data for everything. I can see exactly which referral it is. Okay, it's from this community. Okay, this community is really working well. Then I have from Upwork, then I have word of mouth. So this allows me to track exactly what's working and what's not working. LinkedIn is not working. Let's double down on LinkedIn, because I feel like it's important. So I can see how efficient my deals is. My average sales duration is 2 days, because we automate everything, right? We immediately close them. So we can see how much open opportunities are there. I can see if they are lost, right? Because I track these things. I update my CRM correctly. I can see why they are lost. Okay, a huge chunk lost because they stopped responding to me. Why is that? That means either the proposal was too expensive and they don't want to respond back to them, or I didn't set the expectations that I need to hear back from them, or we're not going to work with them anymore. So I can work on those things, right? I can work on those things. So that's how you make sure, that's how you can track sales. So I don't do ads. If you do ads, you can track ROAS and all that stuff. And sometimes maybe you don't want to track in here. You want more granular tracking. In those cases, you can use tools like Looker Studio. Looker Studio is a very visual dashboard created by Google that's connected to Google Sheets, where you put all the numbers in Google Sheets. It shows you visual representations in here. So this is level 1. Level 1 is this. Level 1 boss is this. Level 2 boss is a local studio dashboard. Level 3 is a custom dashboard like this one that we built. A custom dashboard that like this is, it's for this particular client that we have, right? It's a custom reporting dashboard that's just for you and for your team. So that's level 1, 2, 3. So I hope you focus on level 1 first, then you can focus on different levels, right? Now let's talk about fulfillment. That's my most important KPI out of everything. So for fulfillment, how do you make sure your team is doing things correctly? Is by tracking them. But the most important thing is, how do you know what to track? Even for sales, right? So one very important thing that I like to do is I need you guys to do this prompt, right? Like, hey, I run XYZ business and I'm currently at XYZ number. I'm currently at XYZ number. I want to get towards $50,000 to $100,000 per month. And for this, I need to track the key KPIs that I need for sales and operations. My sales process includes the following, and my operations include the following process. Based on these, what KPIs do I need to track to reach the next stage in my business? You can ask me, this is very important, ask me any questions you need to give me this information. If you use this prompt, right, this is how I use to find the right KPIs. It's going to give you all the list of KPIs that's relevant to you. And then when you have the right systems and we are tracking all these things, right, you can easily create a calculation. If you have the number of leads coming in and the source, do a quick calculation. You can find the leads by source. So let's talk about, so I have this section right here. So this section called reporting, and this is where I track my operations team. KPIs for me is on-time delivery and errors found by the managers and errors found by the clients. So this is where I track. Because I have a system, my tasks system in place, I can see how long they take from start date to completion date. Okay, I can see this person took 188 additional days to complete a task. Okay, this is because he took, in general, I can see, okay, how many days? He took 8, 7, 1, and one outlier contributed to them all. So this is how we can track. Okay, number of errors. No one had any revisions where the work was sent back. Number of average revisions, number of errors found. 28 errors was found last month by the manager. This month, because I showed him like, hey, you're making a lot of errors. You see 0 errors this month. And because I'm tracking this and I'm letting him know I'm tracking these things. And I can see errors found by clients. Okay, we found 14 errors this month. 0 errors, and I implemented this last month, by the way. So tracking is very important. When you track these things, that's how you can finally start growing. And all right, so coming back, now you understood the 3 layers that systemize, automate, and track. Once you have these things in place, there's no reason why you can't hit $50,000 to $100,000 as long as your product is good, which I believe it is. If you want to be doing these things by yourself and you want to learn more about systems, automations, and AI that's relevant for business owners like yourself, follow this channel and subscribe so you can keep in touch with the new videos that I'll be launching. But if you want assistance, if you think all these things are too overwhelming, and you better spend your valuable time just focusing on the business and have someone else do it, I'll be sharing the link to book a call with my team below. Book a call and let's see how we can. I'll see you in the next one. Take care and bye.